Hi everyone! In this video we will add rational expressions with different denominators. The first thing we want to do is find the lowest common denominator, and for that we're going to need to factor both these denominators. The first thing we look for is a greatest common factor. There's nothing in common between 2, 3, and 20, so we're going to go ahead and just move on to the next part. This is not in the form of a equals 1, so we will need to factor this using the AC method. And for our first one, the A is 2, and the C is negative 20, so we get negative 40. Now let's find all of the factors of 40. We have 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 doesn't evenly go in, but 4 does, 4 and 10, and 5 and 8. And it looks like we're all done. So now we're going to look for the sign. We have a negative here, which means the signs will be different, and a positive here. So we know that the larger of the two will be positive because when we add them together, we'll have more positives than negatives. So we'll fill in our signs, the larger ones being positive, the smaller ones being negative, and we need a combination that will give us positive 3. So we have negative 5 and positive 8. Let's go ahead and rewrite the denominators. So we have 2m squared minus 5m plus 8m minus 20, and we'll factor by grouping. The first two have a greatest common factor of m, and we're left with 2m minus 5. The second two have a greatest common factor of 4, so we'll add 4, and we are left with 2m minus 5. Between these two terms, the greatest common factor is the binomial, 2m minus 5. So we're left with m plus 4. So the denominator here is 2m minus 5, m plus 4. Now our second one, again, does not fall into the form of a equals 1, so we'll need to also do the AC method with that one. AC is 2 times positive 20, so we have again 40, which we know the factors are 1 and 40, 2 and 20, and 4 and 10, and 5 and 8. However, the signs are a little different. We have positive and negative. Positive here tells us that they will be the same, and they will both be negative, because the first one is negative. So fill all of these in with negatives, and we're looking for a combination to give us negative 13. And negative 5, negative 8 added together gives us negative 13. So we will replace that in our trinomial. So we get 2m squared minus 5m minus 8m plus 20. And we'll factor by grouping the first two and the second two. The greatest common factor in the first two is m, so we have 2m minus 5. And the greatest common factor in the next two will be a subtract 4. We use subtract so that when I divide this, we end up with a positive. So we get a positive 2m, and positive 20 divided by negative 4 is a minus 5. Now we have our two larger terms here, and the common factor is 2m minus 5. So we'll factor out 2m minus 5 from both of those, and we're left with m minus 4. And so our denominator for the second one is 2m minus 5 and m minus 4. So let's look at all of these together to find the lowest common denominator. We'll line up all of the factors, 2m minus 5 for the first, m plus 4. Then for the second, we have 2m minus 5. We don't have an m minus 4, but we have an m plus 4, but we do have an m minus 4. And then we'll line these all up and find the lowest common denominator, which these are in common. So we have one of those, 2m minus 5. We'll need one of the m plus 4, and we'll need the one m minus 4. Now we need to multiply the numerator and denominator by what's missing. So our first one is missing the m minus 4, so we'll multiply numerator and denominator. I'm going to use a different color. M minus 4 to the numerator and the denominator, m minus 4. The denominator for the second one is missing the m plus 4. So we'll multiply numerator and denominator by m plus 4 and m plus 4. Let's go ahead in our first numerator and do the distributive property. So we end up with 2m minus 8. And in our second numerator, we'll do the distributive property here. So we have 3m squared plus 12m, and we are adding these two fractions together over the common denominator of 2m minus 5 times m plus 4 times m minus 4. Same with this one that we just made as the common denominator, 2m minus 5, m plus 4, m minus 4. And now we can go ahead and add these two together so that we have 2m minus 8 plus 3m squared plus 12m. And this is all over the lowest common denominator. And just to save us time, I'm going to write the lowest common denominator here. And then we can add like terms. We have a term here with an m and a term here with an m. So we end up with 3m squared going in descending order. Positive 12m plus 2m is plus 14m. And then we have a subtract 8. And this is all over our lowest common denominator. And since this is our answer, I'll go ahead and write that in, which is 2m minus 5 times m plus 4 times m minus 4. We have now added these two rational expressions with different denominators by finding the lowest common denominator, combining our numerators, and now we're all done.